V.I.P. Released exclusively to the obscure continent known as Europe in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance, courtesy of Ubisoft and Planet Interactive, and based on the Pamela Anderson-helmed television show of the same name, involving a production agency of some kind that ran from 1998 to 2002. Don't worry if you've never heard of this show, because I haven't either. However, chances are you may have heard of V.I.P. in a gaming context because they made a horrible PlayStation 1 game based on the property that was nothing but QuickTime events and worthless puzzle games. I later learned that they also released this to other consoles, and I don't know why you would do that, but V.I.P. also got a separate Game Boy Color game that was released in 2001, but this GBA V.I.P. game never got a North American release. And I'm wondering, could this be worse than the game we got on the consoles? No, because V.I.P. on the Game Boy Advance is a side-scrolling action platform game that you could actually play like a proper video game, and that alone makes it far superior to the console release. So, good job, Planet Interactive. You actually made a playable V.I.P. game, and then you shut your doors soon afterwards. So, that's just... For the record, they also made the other V.I.P. game on the Game Boy Color that we... Make of that what you will, but I digress. Anyways, V.I.P. has you playing as Valerie Irons, played by Pamela Anderson. Yes, there is boobage. Why wouldn't there be in this Peggy Didn't Exist Yet video game that was only released in Europe?
They're huge.
What? Okay, you have exhausted all your what's with me, son. Just go over there for a bit. I think John Cena's spitting out all the beer you gave him. Right, so, the game has you controlling various members of the V.I.P. team. There's no choice, it depends on the level and the story being told through these creepy mugshots and cutscenes. Well, it's a side-scrolling platform game, action game, whatever. You run around, you jump, you shoot, you can aim upwards, jump behind fences and higher platforms, climb ladders, pick up energy balls that could be used as screen nukes, that sort of thing, and you're mostly going from point A to point B, sometimes needing to find a key item to progress onwards, and sometimes fighting a boss that will usually lob bombs your way. In between levels, there are interactions between mugshots that will progress the paper-thin story forward, and... Okay, look, for the sake of research, I've seen a few episodes of this show. You could find them on YouTube. I would not recommend it, because good lord, that show is awful. Just bet how that show lasted 4 seasons in syndication. Look, but the dialogue in these cutscenes is as dry as the show for whatever that's worth. Probably not much. But, so you have a long-ranged weapon of sorts by default. Depends on the character. Some have handguns, others have knives and shotguns, but you do have unlimited ammo, so that's nice. If you're up close, you'll do some melee attacks. The melee attacks usually end up doing more damage than the guns do, and this works both ways, so that's fun. You start with 3 lives, you could always get more if you find them, and once they're exhausted, it's game over, no continues. You do get a password after clearing a level, and they're brief passwords to enter, so that's something at least. V.I.P. is one of the more competently executed licensed games on the Game Boy Advance. On the most basic level, it's a side-scroller where you go around and shoot things, sometimes hit them with your purse or your fists or whatever, again depends on the character. Control is more than adequate, it's usually fairly responsive, save for brief moments where I'll press a button and nothing happens, but these are few and far between. The enemy AI usually comprises them moving back and forth and sometimes shooting you from off-screen if they notice your presence. Bosses will usually stand still and shoot constantly while occasionally dropping bombs, unless they're riding a vehicle of some kind, I don't know. There's a couple power-ups to help you out, but that's about it. Not the most exciting game, and while there's 8 levels to plow through, after a while they all start to feel the same. I mean, compared to the other V.I.P. game I played on the PS1, this is a far superior experience, but it's also the bare minimum. This was a one-and-done game, not necessarily an overly difficult game, though there are some trouble spots here and there, but I played it once, I beat it, never need to play it again. And really, that's your licensed stodge in a nutshell. At worst, they're borderline unplayable. At best, they're merely competent. And you only have those rare exceptions where a licensed title is truly exceptional. V.I.P. is merely competent and forgettable. Probably for the best that it stayed in Europe. Not that it would have mattered, because these things are usually region free anyway, so whatever. V.I.P. is a pleasant enough looking game. It's bright and colorful, not garishly so like most early GBA titles were to accommodate a non-lit screen. The characters are smallish but distinguishable, especially if you're familiar with the show this is based on, you could recognize the characters. There's some idle animations here and there, and whenever you beat a boss, your character will do a funny little dance, which is rather cute. I like that actually. The creepy mugshots in between levels are somewhat accurate likenesses of the actors, but the way their mouths move are somewhat disturbing. But at the very least, their lips do move when they talk, so even if it's not perfect, it's better than nothing. At least, that's my opinion. Did I get that right? That's how he said? Okay, good. All right, fantastic. The levels could have been a bit more varied in their visuals, but they look fine otherwise. Graphically, V.I.P. looks fine. I've got little to say in that regard. As far as the audio goes, no comment. Overall, V.I.P. on the Game Boy Advance is a competent piece of licensed video game. It does what it does well enough, it follows the source material fairly accurately for whatever that's worth. It will provide some brief period of entertainment if you're a fan of the show, somehow. And once that's done, you'll never go back to it again. So, pretty much every competent piece of licensed video game stodge on the Game Boy Advance then. In other words, V.I.P. is a dime a dozen. It's not bad, but you've got better options for your side-scrolling action fix. Easily skippable unless you really need portable PAM in your pocket, and even then, there are better options available in that regard. Make of that what you will.